Welcome back to the True Crime series. This week we are going to be looking at the unsolved case of the Frog Boys. If you don't know what the case is, it is a South Korean case and it is the third most serious unsolved case in the world. So it's quite intense to say a lot of people hadn't heard of it. The case was about 5 elementary students aged 9 to 13. Their names are Kim Dong-shin, Park Chan-man, To Hyo-yeon, Oh Cha-won, Kim Yong-gil. I'm very sorry for the pronunciation, I really tried to get that right. On March 26th, it was a public holiday for South Korea. This was due to the local democratic elections that hadn't been held in 30 years. So the boys decided they wanted to go to a local stream in the woods searching for salamander eggs. However, this was mistaken with frogs' eggs and they were known as the Frog Boys because there was obviously some sort of mix-up with what they were actually doing. One of their friends decided that they would stay behind because they had missed breakfast, so the 5 boys carried on with hopes that their friend would meet up with them later. And for those of you thinking it was quite dangerous for them to be going to the woods on their own, it's not. It was really close to the city and they kind of knew their way around there already, so it shouldn't be a big issue. However, the 5 boys never returned from the woods. Some of the families had started to realise that the boys hadn't returned and the fathers decided to go to the woods to try and hunt for the boys. However, it started to get really dark and they couldn't see, so they decided to call the police. The hunt for these boys had massive media attention. Even the South Korean president got involved in the case, asking people to look for these boys. The pictures of these boys were everywhere. They were on trucks, they were on deserts, they were everywhere. Everyone was trying to find these young boys. It turns out there was 30,000 people that got involved in the case. This included military, police officers and volunteers and the families. They searched the area in the woods and the mountains over 500 times and never found any of the boys and didn't find a single bit of evidence to where they might have gone. Unfortunately for the parents, there was a lot of hoaxes, there was a lot of prank calls pretending that they knew where the boy was, there was a lot of ransom monies asking for money for the safe return of the boys, which is horrendous. I don't know how these families would have coped during that time. A lot of the parents quit their jobs searching for their lost sons. Eventually the public's interest kind of got lost with this case, and their families were in a lot of debt as a lot of them had quit their jobs and searched for their sons, but they never found anything. However, on September the 6th, 2002, which was 11 years later, a man was in the woods hunting for acorns and suddenly came across some old children's clothing. He informed the police and the remains of the boys were found, all in the place where they were last supposed to be. So it's strange that they searched this area 500 times and didn't find them. The police thought they had died from hypothermia, but it wasn't even a cold day. The clothes were also found in knots, there was blunt force trauma to some of the boys' heads, and also some of the boys had been shot. The boys' bodies had moss growing on them, which meant that they hadn't been moved in years. The police found out that the knots that were used were quite special and only people working in industries would know how to tie them. They also found some unused bullet cases at the scene. However, this is where the police work wasn't very good. The forensics used sacks to carry the boys' body. However, this was heavily criticised as the evidence could have been contaminated. So at the time they didn't have proper forensic investigators to look at the boys and solve this case. So let's take a look at who's possibly done this. So one theory is that it's a Leapers group. So these people would live in the mountain and it's believed that they would find children, eat their liver or organs to help cure illnesses. So the next theory is that it was the military that actually killed the boys. The woodland area that they were hunting for salamander eggs was actually next to the military firing range. It could have been accidental and one of the bullets hit one of the boys, and to kind of cover this up, they killed the rest of them. However, the military came out and said there was no shooting on this day because it was a public holiday and there was no one there. However, there's loads of bullet casings throughout the entire mountains because that's where the military base would shoot. But then again, it might not be this day where the boys were killed. And to back up this theory, there was also a child witness, the boy that decided not to join them for breakfast. He went looking for the boys. He apparently heard gunshots and screams, and then silence. However, the police refused to look into the military base. So, was this a cover-up? Who actually knows? So my thoughts and feelings about this case, it's obviously very tragic, and I do feel like there was obviously some sort of cover-up. It kind of looks like maybe the bodies were hidden, and where better to hide these bodies than a military base, as the area was searched 500 times, and then after the case had died down, bury these bodies in the same place they were meant to be. Obviously the bodies had been there for years because they had moss growing on them, so I feel like the difference between 11 years and 10 years is not going to be that much. The fact that the police wouldn't look into the military base at all kind of was a little bit suspicious to me, but overall my heart goes out to the families because they are still looking for answers to why their children were killed. So if you have any theories yourself, please leave them in the comments below. I'm interested to read your thoughts and feelings towards this case. And as always, please subscribe, it will really help me out. Hit the like button, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!